What's going on, guys? It's your boy beatsbyash, back at it again with another banger of a video. And today I have an awesome blue-white enchantment Duskmourn draft to showcase for you guys today that I think is quite a bit more interesting than your standard all-out aggro or tempo builds you've been seeing quite frequently for the first couple weeks of this format. And we've definitely got a few spicy rares that definitely make this one a banger. So I hope you guys enjoy the games, enjoy the draft, and without further ado, let's get into the goo. Alright, welcome back to another Duskmourn draft on the channel. And once again, we are starting with a pack 1 leyline. You hate to see it, but we have one of the best uncommons in the format in the form of Unnerving Grasp, aka Manifesto War. This card really packs a beating, and I'm super happy to start with that. And to follow that up, we see a very flat power level pack. The Mind Skinner is actually pretty good, but I think you need to put it in the appropriate deck, and I'm just not willing to commit to that early. I think given how bad this pack is, I'm just going to go with this Unable to Scream, following up one decent blue interaction spell with another. This is probably blue's best common. Oh wow, and there is another Unable to Scream. There's also a Come Back Wrong. There's a lot of cool interactions with this, but most of the time it's just going to be a 3-mana kill spell, which I think is fine considering it's only 1 pip. There is a Scorching Dragonfire in this pack, which is probably a little bit better than Unable to Scream, but they're both kind of doing the same thing, and I'd rather just pick up another blue card here to stay as open as possible. Oh wow, that is a pick for Midnight Mayhem. I mean, that might be a signal. I feel kind of bad passing that Scorching Dragonfire, knowing that I could have had a Midnight Mayhem. I could take this Fear of Surveillance, but I think I should just take this Midnight Mayhem. Like, if red-white is the thing to be doing, I'll be more happy I got this Mayhem than not. Alright, this pack is just overall really bad. I think the best card here is probably MVS. Although it doesn't really go well with our 3 blue cards thus far. Could also take this Bashful Beastie, which is more likely to be played alongside our blue cards, but it's also just something I don't want to prioritize. There is a Killer's Mask. I just haven't found that like blue-black is that great. Sometimes you can splash a Midnight Mayhem in red-black, but I can play this in red-black too, so we'll just take the MVS here. Okay, we stumble our way into another Fear of Surveillance. I actually like this 2-drop quite a bit, but I think you need to have a pretty good reason for going blue-white because it's just so contested. There is a Manifest Dread, which I don't hate. I think it's a little bit better than Vanish from Sight, and considering I already have 3 pieces of blue interaction, I will take this. You know, I could run red-green and run the MVS in there. Oh wow, there's a Trapped in the Screen pick 7. I mean, maybe that's what I should be doing. I don't know. This is a really, really weird draft. We're just getting mixed signals all around. Maybe some unexperienced drafters, I'm not sure. Keys to the House, I don't hate if you're in the room space, but we haven't even seen a single room. I guess there's this Malevolent Chandelier, which isn't the worst. You'll play it at least 1 out of 3 times in a blue-green deck, but none of these are really desirable. I'll take the Chandelier, I guess. Maybe I just take the blue Land Cycler. Sometimes you play it in a blue-green deck. I have found this one to be one of the better ones to flip into with Manifest Dread. Ooh, okay, there's a Turn Inside Out going pick 10. Man, we're just getting all these premium cards late, and it is really weird because they keep flip-flopping. We end up with an Appendage Amalgam anyway, even without asking for it, okay? And we get a Vanish from Sight, pick 15. That is just uncalled for. Oh my gosh, that is a Ghostly Dancers. I mean, this is one of the best bombs in the entire format. And although I'm not really deep in on white, that is just difficult to pass up on here. I mean, this pack is really beneficial for someone playing white, so I think it's a good chance we get back at least 1 playable, maybe the Grand Entryway, maybe a Fear of Surveillance. There's also a Painter Studio here. Yeah, this card's just too powerful. I gotta pick it up here. Maybe we end up blue-white. I'm not really sure. Or red-white. Card's not great in red-white, but there is a way to make it at least somewhat decent if you play a more value-oriented game. And we do already have a Trapped in the Screen. Oh, wow. There is a Roaring Furnace Steaming Sauna. Maybe we want to play like a blue-white deck that splashes into red. I don't really hate that. I mean, this card's just great. And I already have some decent blue cards. Yeah, the rest of the cards in this pack are pretty low power level overall, so I don't mind taking this. Pretty good synergies with the Ghostly Dancers, though. And to follow it up, we see a Fear of Abduction. So we might be trying to play a more controlling version of blue-white or white-red, which I don't know if that's really possible, but we're going to see where this takes us because we keep seeing good white cards, which is strange because it felt like white was somewhat contested. Okay, there's a Patch Plaything. I mean, that's just a good creature in general, better in your white-red decks, but I mean, it's definitely something I'm not unhappy to see here. Oh, okay, awesome. There's a Terramorphic Expanse. that makes our dreams of being able to play both sides of the steam vents, I like to call it, very, very likely, especially with the blue land cycler. So that's actually pretty nice to follow up. There's a Trial of Agony, which isn't terrible. White land cycler. Oh, I think I might have maneuvered my way into blue-white here. I don't hate Twist Reality, although I don't think it's one of the better cards to be playing in blue-white. Okay, there's another Dagger Maw. I don't know if we want to play 2 of those. I guess we'll take the Savior of the Small. I mean, I don't think I'm playing any of these cards. There's an Acrobatic Cheerleader. Probably the worst 2-drop at common, but it's still playable. We don't have any 2-drops. Okay, wow. And the Fear of Surveillance both wield, so that's pretty good for us. That one counts as an enchantment, which is going to go a long way in our deck. And we get another Vanish from Sight. Might have to play 2 of those. Do we want to play 3? I don't know. I really don't like Living Phone, and I think Tale of Tameo is just useless. Yeah, this is a really weird draft. We get a Jump Scare. Okay, nice. Another Jump Scare? Okay. And an Untimely Malfunction to round it off. Well, it looks like we are playing blue, white, splashing red here. Man, this pack is just not really good for us. I could take this white-red land for a chance that we may splash some red cards, although I don't know that is that beneficial to our deck. I mean, it opens up our potential to use the Roaring Furnace, which I don't dislike. I mean, yeah, this is just a weak pack. I think I'm going to take this here. Ooh, okay. There is one of the more premium enchantments in the format in the form of Ethereal Armor. That's one we're definitely excited to see. But at this point, we just need creatures. Like, we're very low on creatures in general. I would hope that we don't have to play 2 Jump Scare, but maybe we will. Oh, wow. There is a pick 3 Nico Light of Hope. I mean, that is the best reward we could have been offered for moving into blue-white, and I'm ecstatic about it. At this point, we just need some mediocre 2-drops to get us along here. There's a blue-white land, which would be really cool, but I think I'm going to go with this Unable to Scream number 3, because it seems like we're a very controlling blue-white deck, and if we can fill our deck with enough interaction, we may not need to have that many 2-drops. Wow, this draft has turned around very quickly here. Okay, there's another Acrobatic Cheerleader, a red-white land, or a Glimmerlight. I mean, I think Glimmerlight works very well in our deck, although we don't have the most creatures. It is just a better 2-drop than what we have thus far, and it contributes to our Ethereal Armor. If this card was not double red, I would totally be down to splash it, because our deck is right up the alley where you would want to be doing that. I'm just going to take this Don't Make a Sound. I don't want to have to play it, but maybe we will. Okay, there is a Underwater Tunnel or a Hardened Escort. I think I'd rather have Underwater Tunnel. Into a Erratic Apparition. Okay, so we didn't miss a 3-drop there. Hopefully we can get one more good thing to put in our deck, but it seems unlikely. We want a Living Phone or a Clammy Prowler? I guess Clammy Prowler. I mean, none of these cards are really good. Okay, there's a Lionheart Glimmer. That's a good card, but just not really great with our deck. Didn't end up with enough 2-drops. Pick 11 Midnight Mayhem. That is crazy, dude. We ended up with 2 Midnight Mayhems, and we weren't even trying to do it. And it didn't even feel like red was that open, to be honest. Felt like all the good red cards were taken, just no one was in white-red. Okay, we get an Acrobatic Cheerleader, pick 13. It's not a great card, but that was amazing for us since we were so low on 2s. Alright, well, this is definitely not a conventional blue-white deck, and we did miss out on filling up our 2-drop slots pretty badly, but there's definitely some bangers in here that I think, if we're able to get to the late game, can probably allow us to grind it out versus another control player. Some cards of note are Ghostly Dancers and Nico Light of Hope. 2 of the best bombs to have in a deck like this. Also have a Fear of Abduction and a Roaring Furnace / Steaming Sauna, aka Steam Vents. And a lot of removal here with 3 Unable to Scream, Unnerving Grasp, Trapped in the Screen, and 2 Vanish from Sight. So honestly, if we're able to survive to the late game, I think we could very well trophy with this deck. We just gotta hope to avoid those pesky red-white aggro Timmies, and I believe that we can do it. So let's go ahead and hop into these games. All right, welcome back. We are here for match number 1 with our balmy blue-white deck, and let's see what we can do. Starting off on the play here, white and a blue. That is very, very nice. We have the Underwater Tunnel to be able to surveil, and then we've got Acrobatic Cheerleader. This hand seems fine. Especially since there's not a lot of turn 1 plays in some decks in this format. Okay, so that's our 3rd land. Would be nice if it was a 2nd blue. I mean, honestly, we could just keep this Fear of Surveillance and just play it next turn. Like, it is an enchantment, but maybe I should be playing Acrobatic Cheerleader because it just gets worse. Yeah, this seems fine for right now. Yeah, I'm going to drop down the Fear of Surveillance first because it's just better synergistically with the Ethereal Armor and the Unable Scream. Like, Ethereal Armor on a Vigilance creature is pretty damn disgusting. Especially since we already have the Tunnel out. I know this card is a common, but in some decks, I feel like it's closer to uncommon status because even though it's only a 2-2, it's probably one of the best 2-2s. Just for what you're getting. Like, the Vigilance, the Selection, and the Enchantment just all come together to make a pretty decently valuable card. Drop down the Acrobatic Cheerleader. And we can go Ethereal Armor here. Threaten for 5. And that's going to demand a real answer now. I do kind of want a 4th land because that's going to turn on my Slimy Aquarium. Yeah, I don't hate that. Like, I do really want it to be a blue, but I feel like the downside of just not getting to a 4th land is pretty high. It's actually trading. Okay. Well, that was really good for us. I mean, now if he actually removes the Fear of Surveillance, it's a 2-for-2 trade. So we're pretty happy about that. Vicious Clown, okay. Well, that is a decent thing to Unable to Scream. But if I Unable to Scream, I'm just leaving it so much mana. I'm not doing that. Maybe I should attack first, though, because I can see what the top of our deck is for Manifest Dread, which might be relevant. Just put that in the grave. I don't know. There was a flip side to both coins. Blocking again. Wow, okay. This guy's playing very conservatively for a person who seems to have a somewhat aggressive deck. It's a little bit weird. Okay, and we roll into the Patch Play thing. That's actually one of the best cards, if not the best card, for us to Manifest Dread to in this deck. Like, we don't have a lot of Manifest Dread synergies, but if we flip this over, it does not have the -1/-1 counters on it. So this can just end the game on its own. This is basically a second copy of Ethereal Armor when you think about it like that. MVS, okay. All right, we get a Terramorphic Expanse, which means I could go get a red, but I feel like at this point I'd rather just turn the Steaming Sauna. I feel like at this point I'd rather just turn the Steaming Sauna side on first. This costs 3 to flip, that costs 1, so that actually works out very nicely. Wow. All right, there we go. Drop down the Terramorphic, flip this over. We're gonna go ahead and sack the Terramorphic first, so I get value out of surveilling this away. Just get another blue. And yeah, let's attack first. Because I actually just like don't want him to block that because it's like worth a lot more damage. Another Unable to Scream, don't hate that. Okay, well this is about to be the biggest patch play thing I've ever seen. Holy shit.
Gotcha, bitch!
And I get the flying counter. How you low plays, brother. How you low plays. Turns out, it doesn't matter if your deck is lacking in 2-drops when you just draw the only 2 drops in your deck. Big brain plays, boys. See, this is what differentiates the medium level players from the all-in grinders like myself. You just draw better cards. It is a decision to draw better cards. Remember that. Hardened Escort, okay. So this guy has now played like 3 cards that like, or 2 cards, I guess, that you would prefer not to play if your deck's super premium. Which is a good sign for us. I mean, I think this guy's just dead. And he's going to give it to us. Let's go. All right, well, the first game went so well. Let's see if we can do it again. Acrobatic Cheerleader is actually really bad on the draw, though. Survival cards in general are just bad on the draw, and I wish they would have just made it to where all survival cards had higher toughness than attack, or just given the survival colors, like, better combat tricks than the non-survival colors. Because it just made this mechanic such a flop, and it very easily could have been fixed by changing one of those variables in one direction. I don't hate this hand, but I feel like considering our opponent took a mole, I can probably afford a mole here too. Okay, now I just fucked myself. We're going to 5. All right, and we found ourselves back at basically where we started before. I'm probably just going to get rid of the cheerleader and the vanish from sight here. This hand's fine. At least we got rewarded with the best hand we have seen in all 3 hands from our moles. Yeah, I'm just going to play like this. I'd rather just have a more defensive hand than an aggressive hand in this deck because, like, we're just looking to slow the game down to get to our more value-oriented cards. There's a value-oriented card, just won't be able to play it for a long time. Turn 1 bear trap, okay. I still have yet to put a bear trap in my deck. I just feel like a lot of the artifacts are not really fought over. If artifacts are being fought over that heavily to where you have to put a bear trap in your deck, it's probably not really a good time for you to be going into a delirium deck anyway. So I just don't find it like realistic that you should ever be putting this card in your deck because like there's so many artifacts like found footage, they're just generally speaking better cards. Maybe in sealed. In sealed, this is actually probably a pretty decent filler card because in the play booster era, some sealed pools, you're just not going to have like realistically decent cards in every color to where you can make a streamlined 2-color deck, and that's where cards like Bear Trap can become better. I honestly just don't think we want another white here. Like, if anything, I want another blue or a real piece of action here. Like, a lot of cards in our deck can be played at 4 mana. We could play our Nico, try to get to our bombs. He's attacking for the 0. Okay. Well, that can mean one of 2 things. Number 1, he's trolling. Number 2, he has a jump scare. But either way, I think there's just no reason for you to ever attack. Unsettling Twins. Okay, that was a really good top deck. Probably one of the better cards to play into my unable to scream here. Right off the top, Hard Rippers. Okay, now we get a blue though, which means if we can survive here, we'll be able to drop down the Steaming Sauna. Kind of want to attack here and just see what he's willing to offer. Dagger Maw. Okay, I don't really like that, honestly. Hopefully he's willing to trade off one. I'd rather him trade than use a bear trap. Okay, cool. Now I'm willing to just do this, maybe. Because I'd rather him not flip. I think there might be an inherent like value to him flipping. And now he just has like a dead bear trap. I could be punished by him top decking something, but his deck seems pretty low to the ground. I just want to have like enough time to get the Steaming Sauna down, draw 2 cards per turn, to where we just cannot die. Okay, and he's just gonna pass. And now we have the red for our Steaming Sauna. For our Roaring Furnace Steaming Sauna. Nice, let's go. I kind of just want to hold the red. Nah, I should just play the red. Because then I can hold this in my hand. If I'm holding the red, it's gonna... Holding the red makes him not know whether I can play the other side. But it also lowers the amount of damage I can do with this card. Because then I'm gonna have to play this no matter what. Whereas this land, I could just hold if we don't have anything else to be playing. So currently, I can deal 2 damage to something, which isn't that relevant, but still more efficient than his bear trap, which is funny. He's just gonna pass. We get a land here. I think I'm just gonna pass. I'd rather just build up the potential damage here. Like, there's nothing that could make me feel punished by holding a land in hand. Like, if we draw the Fear of Abduction, we just play something. If we draw the Ghostly Dancers, we just play it and unlock. And this is where we start outvaluing him by drawing 2 cards per turn. Okay, we get unable to scream. That's good. Can allow us to out something that the Roaring Furnace cannot. And we're stalemating into a game state where we are drawing 2 cards per turn. That's really nice. Unfortunately, I can't play the Fear of Abduction because I don't control a creature, but that's fine. I think at this point I'll just throw down a land here. Why not? This way, next turn, I'm not leaving something on the table if I draw something I need to double spell here. Yeah, and at this point, if he's not removing my Steaming Sauna, I just win. I have 5 cards in hand. He has 2. Okay. 3 of them are pretty premium cards. It's going to be kind of funny if I just don't play a creature and I just do a 3rd unable to scream and I'm just locking him down. I'm playing Exodia here, basically. Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Ooh, we get a Ghostly Dancers. That's hella based. You just add back the Fear of Surveillance, replay it. I mean, that's just huge, right? Yeah, that's just broken. Okay, the auto tapper was trying to cuck me. Do not let the auto tapper ever cuck you, boys. Get the Ghostly Dancers on the field. Add back Fear of Surveillance. That way we have 2 creatures. So even if he stops this, we still have a creature for the Fear of Abduction. if he's going to try to kill it. He's going to unwanted remake. Okay. Well, that doesn't really matter. Well, I think I'm still just going to add back our Fear of Surveillance and just replay it. So now I have some board presence here. Still have 20 cards in deck. I always forget that this card actually gives you no maximum hand size, which is kind of funny. If you get to the point where the maximum hand size is coming up, like, you probably already won. Okay, there's Nico. Let's go.
I fucking knew it! Oh!
Okay, he's just going to go ahead and bear trap the creature he gave me. Cool. It would have been way better for him to kill the Fear of Surveillance. Rampaging Soul Rager. Okay. Well, I guess I'm just going to Roaring Furnace that. Yeah, this is really funny. I'm just keeping my opponent in this game where they have to watch us do cool things, and there's no way for them to interact with us. This is why enchantment removal is so much of a necessity in this format, because some of the most impactful bombs in the format are either artifacts or enchantments or enchantment creatures. And just not having access to that interaction in your deck just limits you so much to lose games that you otherwise would be able to stay in. Just because even if the card isn't as high impact as another one, if you can't interact with it, you know, it can accrue value over time, even if it's incremental. So here, I think I should probably just go ahead and do this. I mean, it's free. I might as well do it while I can. Free 6 damage. Nice. 6 piece with a soda here. And now I don't need to hold cards in hand. Drop down the Nico. Just let him know I'm based like that, you know? Base to Nico. Get in with the Surveillance. Okay, that card is insane. I will keep it on top. I'm going to draw that during the end phase. That is nice. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, boys. I'll go ahead and draw the card I know is going to draw. That is nice. Now, when I read this card, I was kind of confused because it didn't immediately show me what a shard token was. I thought a shard token was just something you could use to transform into a creature, but it's actually just better than a clue token, which is crazy. Like, this card does so much, and I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes, like, a new meta commander, or maybe just a card you would want to use in a commander deck. I'm not really sure. But it's kind of like Fable of the Mirror Breaker in some ways. Like, you just get the, kind of like the reflection of Kiki Jiki, basically. I know the original Kiki Jiki is like 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. This one's 4, so that's just really good. Oh, this is a really funny interaction. So, for people who haven't seen this, if your opponent has a patched plaything and you go for an Unable to Scream, it still maintains the -2/-2 counters, which means that their creature automatically dies, which is probably the best rate you're ever going to get out of this card. And now there's like no way we can just lose this game. I might as well just do this. And then just kind of play it safe, I guess. Like, there's really no reason to do anything else here. Jump scare, we'll just keep it. I mean, that could allow us to go for game next turn. Just by making our creature flying. Honestly, I think people would value jump scare more if it was just a sorcery. Because more often than not, I find myself using that card just as a way to make your guy flying before you attack and just get in for a big number here. So we're threatening for 9 in the air. Yeah, our deck just has too many premium cards. At the top of our graveyard is 3 Unable to Scream. That is so funny. Well, unless we go against an all-out aggro deck, we are just going to destroy our opponents. Yeah, I mean, I'll just let him do that. Funny with this card, because they're taking control of it, it actually lowers the stats because I no longer control 2 enchantments, which is kind of funny. And these tokens are actually enchantments, which is pretty relevant. You would think that these tokens would be artifacts because, like, that's what clues are. There's not a lot of token enchantments, to my knowledge. Yeah, we'll just take 6. I mean, the damage doesn't really matter here. It's, like, impossible for us to lose this game. Get back our fear. Now, if I want to, I could just, like, Unnerving Grasp, return this back to hand for, like, more interaction. But I think the game's going to end very, very quickly. Make that 8-8. Yeah, let's just do this. Like, I don't really need the extra card. I'd rather just have, like, a piece of interaction, I guess. And we roll into the patch play thing. GG's, brother. GG's. This is 10. Is there any way I can lethal him? I don't think so. If I use this ability... Yeah, this costs 2. Yeah, there's no way to do it. Okay, let's just go for game here. Okay, let's just attack. There's, like, no reason not to. That's a real card, so who cares? I mean, I still just have 3 pieces of interaction. It's just impossible for us to lose. Even if our opponent had, like, a full board AoE, like a Waltz of Rage, or maybe, like, a Roller Crusher Ride would be, like, the best. If he Roller Crusher Rided for 4 even, and does he have Delirium? Yeah, he has Delirium. So if he had a Roller Crusher Ride, he could, like, answer everything. But even then, I still have the fear of reduction. He's going to be down to, like, 0. Seize from Slumber, okay. Alright, well, our opponent's just dead. GG's, brother. GG's. Pass back to us. Flip up. The patchwork. Patch play thing. Whatever you want to call it. Main phase. Do this here. Go to combat. GG's, brother. Keep that on top. Who cares? Boop. Good game, man. I feel kind of bad for this guy because his deck just seems very poor value and we just have so many bombs, but that's the way the cards roll and I've been in that position before. All right, match number 2, going to be starting off on the play here. Hope to avoid them dirty aggro players. Well, unfortunately, we starting off with a 1-lander and this deck just needs like probably at least 3 lands to function, so. All right, this hand is all lands, but I at least have the Roaring Furnace, so I know I'm going to be able to accrue value. I'm actually just going to keep this. Like, my deck does not have that much early game interaction anyway. If I go against an aggro person, I don't know what hand is actually going to save us anyway. Okay, cool. We'll just drop down the red here. Creeping Peeper. I don't know if that's worth interacting with. I think we just want to use all of our mana here. So Roaring Furnace is currently 2 to deal 4. And he's playing a bottomless pool. Wow, that was pretty gross. Well, I might just go ahead and do this. And then unable to scream that because, like, I don't want that to die. And this just gets progressively worse as the game goes on. Lock that down so he doesn't get mana advantage. Alright, no enchantment removal here. Cryptic Inspector, okay. Cool, cool. If I wanted to, I could just start double drawing. I mean, I don't really hate that. It's not like this is a huge threat. But then he could start paying for that. Yeah, then he draws a card. But if he's doing that, he's using all of his mana as well. I think I just want to use all of my mana, to be honest. Okay, nice. That was a great draw. Will he just flip up the locker room? He's not going to do that. Okay. Well, that was one of the better cases of scenarios for us. Flesh Burrower is kind of annoying. I kind of like saving this because this kind of is just like a better card than this. Yeah, let's just lock that down. And then let's Terramorphic before we draw during the instep to filter out a land. Go get a white. Okay, cool. Well, we have a big dumb guy to throw down. If we're clogging up the board, we're doing some pretty good things here. And he's going to try to start milling us. I mean, that is something I have to do something about, but he got rid of 2 lands, which is nice. I think our deck is like pretty high action to where I should be able to end the game before that comes into play. And so we get in with our Vigilance and just play the Shark, I guess. I've actually been a huge fan of the Shark. Like, this might be my favorite lane cycler, just because I like the stats and I like the Vigilance. It's also just a really good card to put equipment on. Vigilance just goes such a long way in this format, and I can't really pinpoint exactly why, but it definitely goes a long way. Okay, he mills us again. I might actually need to answer that now. Well, I like doing this. Into a Fear of Surveillance. Okay, I don't hate that. Get in with the Vigilance. Blocks us there. And we can just pass. Okay, we got the Ghostly Dancers. That's actually huge. Actually huge. Use the Ghostly Dancers, add back an Unable to Scream. Lock down his Crab with that. Replays the Inspector. And he's got a Meat Locker. Okay. Alright, well, we need to try to end the game soon. Flip this during the instep. Alright, we get a counterspell, which isn't really great. Drop this down to try to get flyers. Add back the Unable to Scream. Play this, lock down his Crab, so I don't deck out. How much interaction do I have left? 1 Unable to Scream, 2 Vanish from Sight, Fear of Abduction. Yeah, I think I am willing to just do this. Like, just stop him from getting his Drown Diner, I guess. I'm also just trying to end the game pretty quickly. Okay, that's cool. That's hella cool. Weight room, sure. Buffs up the Inspector. We get an Acrobatic Cheerleader. Drop down this Nico. And that's going to give us a double Eerie Trigger on everything. And that should just be game. I mean, that was just insane. I doubt this Don't Make a Sound is going to come up. I'm probably just going to use these tokens to copy a flyer. Just go in here with the flyers. Boop, boop, boop. Put him at 4, holding up a counter spell here. We get a patch play thing. Still 10 cards in deck. Unlocks the gym. Sure. It's kind of crazy. We never even got within like a lethal range of the Crab. And we were drawing 2 cards per turn. And we get another Unable Scream. That's funny. And we're going to go game 2. Let's go. All right, game number 2. Starting off on the draw here. I mean, this hand is a little bit better on the draw because I do really need another land. But I do have the Unable to Scream, and if we get to a 3rd land, we can play for a bit. Okay, we see a 3rd land. That actually makes such a dramatic difference. Because our deck has so much premium cheap interaction, I actually don't mind playing this as a card in my deck that I'm more than likely going to turn on the Steaming Sonicide first. Just because these Unable to Screams really slow down the game against people who are not super aggressive. And that's a card that, like, Paranormal Analyst is a card that, if unchecked at the beginning of the game, could give our opponent a bunch of free resources and catch up to our card advantage. So, I gotta answer that. Plays the Flesh Burrower, sure. He could also just have, once again, the Bottomless Pool here. I think I just want to use all of my mana, and bouncing a Flesh Burrower isn't, like, the most exciting thing, so. Another white. Okay, he's stuck on 2 mana. That is pretty nice. I mean, I think I'm down to just drop down Nico. Didn't have a counter spell for it, which is nice. Double triggers off the Eerie Apparition. We're going to get him for 3. Now we're outracing our opponent. This is actually a card that I found to be very strong once you're in the right space for it. If you're not in the market for it, it's terrible. But if you are, it's actually a card that I would prefer to have like 1 to 2 copies of. Drops down the Grasping Longneck. Well, that card does have reach, so there's like some amount of agency of me wanting to actually respond to that. I think just getting this down, though, since the game's going so slow, is probably worth it. See if he wants to trade. Okay, cool. I mean, I don't really care too much about that. Our opponent's deck hasn't seemed to be too focused on Delirium. And this is also why Nico is so good. Because it's like, okay, even if he kills this, I still have 2 super clues. Still at 3 mana, drops down to Cryptid Inspector. I could just remove my Nico to play this Fear of Abduction. I don't hate that. So if I attack with this, this could, I mean, this uses all of our mana. But we definitely could do something a little bit better. I kind of just like bouncing this while our opponent doesn't have anything to do. Okay, just gonna block, sure. We can do this tunnel of underwater. Pick up the trap in the screen. That's pretty nice. Opponent finally hits their land drop. Sure. Is he going to attack? Not attacking. Do I want a super scry here? I don't hate doing that because then I'm more willing to like get rid of my Nico. Get a cheerleader, get a land. Okay. Well, this turns on our Roaring Furnace, which I don't hate. Yeah, I kind of like just throwing this down, getting rid of my Nico, get insurance. Takes the damage, drop this down, draw another one. Next turn, our Roaring Furnace deals with the Flesh Burrower. I'll take it. If he wants to kill our Fear of Abduction, I mean, we just get back our Nico, get 2 more shard tokens, which is pretty huge. I didn't realize like how fast we could actually go through our deck if our opponent's playing a crab. If we go to game 3, I might actually put in the Chandelier specifically for this matchup. Meat Locker on our Fear of Abduction, okay. Unlock this, kill his Flesh Burrower. I have 6 to play with. Let's get him for 2. I kind of want to just hold this. I kind of just want to hold this Vanish from Sight. Seems pretty big, but I guess I could just do that on when he passes it back to us. Into the Ghostly Dancers. Okay. Well, now I'm gonna play this instead. I mean, yeah, this is just a really dirty card to flip into. I mean, he can't afford to drown Diner here. He's way too behind. And if he bounces back our Ghostly Dancers, I mean, that's even better for us. Plays the Grasping Longneck, okay. I have 8 to play this. If I pay 5 to flip this up, I can do this and this. I mean, that's pretty big. Get a 3/1 flyer. Get rid of your reach. Get another 3/1 flyer. And now it just feels like there's almost nothing that could kill us here. Trade with the Cheerleader, I guess. And next turn we get the Fear of Abduction. Fear of Abduction is just threatening lethal, and if he's not answering it, I'm getting back a Nico. And we get an Ethereal Armor just to rub salt inside of the wound, sand inside of the wound, whatever way you want to see it. This card is just disgusting here. I can put it on any flyer, and I don't even have to do the math. Math is for blockers. That's just going to be game. You know, let's do the math for fun. We have 1, 2, 3. I always forget these are enchantments. 4, 5. So it'd be +6, +6. So if I play the trap in the screen, it's literally lethal on a 3/1 flyer. And removing the Fear of Abduction, like I just get a Nico back, I win the game. Okay, I don't know what he would add back here. Flesh Burrower, that's not going to cut it, buddy. I hate to say it. GG, sir. GG. Well played. Bomberman Johnny gets it done. All right, final match of the day. Can we take down the final boss and complete our dreams? All right, well, this hand is not ideal, but I've said this many times before. Our deck just does not have, like, good early 2-drop creatures. So double Unable to Scream is something that makes me feel very confident if we go against, like, an aggro player. Okay, and we get a Terramorphic Expanse. I think this is actually a situation where I want to go get a red. Yeah, this is our first time being able to actually play the Roaring Furnace on turn 2, and that is huge. He's just going to pass here, okay. I mean, I kind of just want to draw the game out, so I think I'd rather just hold up this Don't Make a Sound, where it might actually have an effect on the game here. Yeah, let's get value out of this right now, because we're never doing anything with it later. Draw into another land, not great, but it is what it is. Get a Surveil here. I kind of don't want either of these cards. Like, I don't really care about Acrobatic Cheerleader. If I kept both on top, I could flip into the Dagger Maw, but that just seems unnecessary. I'd rather just find our power cards here. Prop Room. Okay, that was interesting. Well, if he's not going to commit anything to the board, I'll just flip this over. Okay, yeah, that doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll just get the trap from the screen. If he bounces it back to our hand for some reason with, like, an Unnerving Grasp, we're going to be happier to have done that. Stocked Researcher, okay. Well, I think here I would rather just use my Steaming Sauna to draw 2. Let's just go and attack here, see if he wants to trade. Okay. Get this online, get our draw. We get an Unnerving Grasp. So we have a lot of interaction. This isn't currently a creature. Savior the Small. Okay. Cool beans, cool beans. I mean, that's just a really good hit for us, right? Might as well do this before he blows it up. Nice. Yeah, this card is one of my favorites in the set. Specifically because of the flavor of it. It just reminds me so much of Steam Vents, the OG red-blue Shockland. I love the flavor there that they put into that. I could just bounce back his Dazzling Theater Prop Room. I don't really hate that. It would use more of our mana. That does turn back on his thing, though. Yeah, let's just play this. Get a guy out. Get another land. Hopefully he doesn't have a crab, too. The crabs are out to play, boys. If he flips over the Dazzling Theater, I will just put that back in his hand, just so he has to, like, spend more mana. But I haven't found this card to be particularly useful outside of, like, the aggro v aggro matchup. It allows you to race by turning your stuff sideways and then also block. But other than that, I just don't think this is really a card that you ever want to play. So if you get it for free late, you can put it in your side deck if you're an aggro deck, and it can be fine. But it's very fringe. Friendly Ghost, okay. Well, that's one I don't really mind doing this to, but this could also be fine too. Yeah, I do kind of want to get that Surveil in. So maybe I just do this. Let's put this on top of his deck. Yeah, let's put this back on the top of his deck. That's just like a worse top deck for him. Did he put it on the bottom? Yeah, I put that on bottom. Okay, we're going to put this in the grave. We don't need that. We need to get to our power cards. Power cards do not let us down. And then we're just going to lock this down, like, because why not? Get in for our Surveil. I don't hate that. I mean, it's a piece of action to be doing. When you have so many lands out, I feel like it's just better to have a piece of action that does something than not. Oh, he's actually land cycling? That's crazy. Yeah, that's really weird. The Fear of Surveillance is actually packing a big punch since we're drawing in our end step. He's just going to pass, okay. Player blue. Surveil here. Okay, that's huge. That's actually insane. I kind of just want to keep that on top. And you know what? I'm probably just going to hold this for his turn. Buy back, like, trapped in the screen. Fear of Falling. Okay, that's a great card to put back on top of his deck. He just used all of his mana. And we're just going to reset that for you, buddy. He puts it back on top. I don't really want to land here. It is kind of sus. I'm going down low on cards, but I think I'm going to be able to end the game soon. We get a Fear of Abduction that's actually insane. Okay. 9 mana could add back. I don't know. This is kind of a weird situation. Because I don't want to go like too deep in my deck, but this is like a lot of triggers. So I do this is 5, 8. Add back the trap in the screen. I mean, I don't have a lot of actions to make. I kind of just want to get a 3-1 at least because I have so much interaction. This way, even if he kills this, we still get a guy in the air that's threatening. And I still have 3 pieces of removal. Oh, yeah, we're keeping that on top all day, baby. Yeah, that's going to end the game quickly. Now, if he does not kill Ghostly Dancers next turn, it's pretty much just a lock because we're going to get 2 more 3-1s. And we know what he's drawing, so yeah, that should just be GG. He's only got 1 white. He'd have to have the 1 mana destroy something, let them manifest. Ethereal Armor. Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. That's just not going to cut it. Double Eerie trigger. I could actually just do this. Get another 3-1 to replace it. Get rid of that. And that's going to be game. Let's go. All right. Will this be the final game? This is a pretty slow hand, but our opponent is mulling. And their deck doesn't seem that fast either. I think I'm just going to keep. It's risky, but I feel like our deck needs to hit land drops to win the game. We get a land. That's not good. And they have a Gremlin Tamer. Oh, that's so scary. Wow, I really needed to top deck a Unable to Scream here. As soon as if he does like Elegant Rotunda, we're screwed. Okay, Tunnel Surveyor. That's also very scary. I need to answer this immediately. I don't have an answer to it. I get an Unable to Scream. Okay, that is kind of nice, but he's still just representing a lot. Yeah, this is tough. So if I hold this, I can counter something that's an enchantment or just block and negate. I kind of just like holding this here. We're taking a lot of damage. I mean, he'll still just attack with everything if we do this. Yeah, I'll give it 1 turn. Oh, I think I have to negate that. That hurts so bad. That's just like so irritating. And now I'm down to 12. Plays a land. We get an Ethereal Armor. Okay, I mean, I just have to do this, unfortunately. Very, very slow start for us, and it could be our downfall. Does he have interaction? He has a Glimmer Burst. Okay, that's really scary. I would just be attacking with everyone. Lose a 1-1, deal 2 damage. He attacks with everyone. Kill that guy because he's an enchantment. Ooh, we get a Ghostly Dancers. Okay, that actually could be very clutch here. I have a good blocker, and I have a good blocker and a way to slow down the game. If we get another land here, this would be huge. Please do not have interaction, sir. Please. I'm begging. At least with the Surveil, I have a chance to find a land. Hotel, hospital room. Okay. I mean, I don't really want him to attack like that because he could jump scare me. And he did just pay 4 mana for that. So, you know, I think I will just do this. Ooh, but if he does put the 1-1 and uses the jump scare, I'm just baiting him with that. Yeah, that's a tough situation. Slow him down a little bit here. Okay, I think I actually want that. Does not attack. Cool. You love to see it. Am I willing to just do this for no value? I don't know. I think I am just willing to play it. I mean, it's just a big body. And he puts on the bottom. I kind of just want to upgrade our guy. Cool. I think he has a jump scare. He has a friendly ghost. Okay. 2-6. He's just going to pass. All right. Well, I think I just need to do this. If his last card is Don't Make a Sound, I need to play this. And yeah, we'll just do this here. I have a 3-1. Threaten him. go ahead. Don't draw an answer to my dancer. All my eggs are in one basket here. He's attacking with everyone. What the hell? That is sus. Okay. And he's going to give it to us. Let's go, baby. Yes, sir, ski brother. The blue-white train continues onward. The hype is real. Believe in the ghostly dancers, baby. Let's go. All right, well, that was an awesome conclusion to an absolutely insane run, and it just goes to show that there are multiple ways to play each archetype in this format, and this is one of the first really strong, totally controlling, more bomby versions of blue-white I've had. You know, often when you think about good blue-white decks in this format, you think of a more aggro tempo-oriented variant where you just have like multiple Gremlin Tamers, Inquisitive Glimmers, but this one was the exact opposite, where we were really just hoping to dodge the aggro matchups and forego developing our own board in order to get into the late game and just outvalue our opponent with an onslaught of infinite value machines. And I have to say, this way to play the deck is probably going to become more common as the format continues onward, since there's going to be less and less cards that are high power level being passed to you late, especially in the 2-drop slot. You're going to need to learn how to configure your deck to be more value oriented in that way. And I think this is actually a great example of a deck where it probably was better for us to be going second than first, just because we want another chance to be able to draw a third or fourth land on curve or draw another removal spell. And I think that is definitely something I should have considered when we were playing. And it could have totally made a difference if any of our opponents had a more crazy start. But let's do a quick little review of the deck before we end the video. So obviously some cards of note here were Nico, Light of Hope, which was an absolutely back-breaking card every time we saw it, alongside Ghostly Dancers. The interaction between both of these cards, to where when you have this on the field and then play Nico, that both of the shards are treated as enchantments, so you get double Eerie triggers, is absolutely amazing, and it won us a bunch of games because we were able to dig through our deck so quickly and so efficiently. And then as well, I think probably the MVP of this run was the Roaring Furnace Steaming Sauna, which I was a bit skeptical on putting in this deck because it is a little bit greedy for us to think that Roaring Furnace is ever going to be live before we have the blue side of the card online. But it didn't really matter. I think the reason that was because we had so much cheap interaction early that we were able to hold off into the late game, to where it was actually fine for us to forego developing the board and just turn on our ability to draw an additional card every turn from that point onward. So I just want to point that out because I do not believe that you should be putting this card in every blue-white deck you play, especially if you didn't end up with at least 2 forms of land fixing. And, you know, we're probably also on a little bit of the lower end of, like, good lands to have to be getting full value out of this card. But it didn't matter because we had 3 Unable to Scream. And I think that just goes to show, if you're deciding that you're not seeing a lot of the cheap creatures like Gremlin Tamer, Inquisitive Glimmer, that allow you to punch your opponent and play a tempo game, that you want to be prioritizing the cheap, efficient interaction / removal spells such as Unable to Scream and Trapped in the Screen in order to get to your late game value engines. And as well, Vanish from Sight was actually very complimentary here, more so than I originally thought, just because it's not that good if it's your only piece of interaction. But once you've been able to dissect your opponent's board with stuff like Unable to Scream or Trapped in the Screen, you're going to be able to pick and choose what you use this on to continue setting your opponent back And I don't think that's always going to be the case in all of your blue decks. There's definitely been some blue-green decks I had where I needed to be using all of my mana every turn to be playing out a creature. And so I didn't have the ability to hold this up and, still be progressing my game state. So this card can be good, but you need to make sure that you have other supporting cards for it. Another card that was really, really strong was the Fear of Surveillance, specifically because we had good eerie payoffs, and it just worked really well with the Steaming Sauna, being able to get that card selection in every turn. And this is probably one of the more desirable 2-drops in any white enchantment-based deck. So definitely don't sleep on this card, because sometimes it wheels, but sometimes it doesn't. I'm really looking to pick this card up, pick 5, pick 6 if I'm deep into white. And if you're able to get it later than that, amazing. But that's not always going to be the case. And I think just all of the components that this card brings in one package make it more desirable than some of the other options at common rarity, at least. But overall, this was a really fun one, and one of the more unique decks I've been able to draft in this format. And also just one of the reasons I've continued to have a lot of fun, because it feels like even after 3 weeks, there's still new and interesting things to try out, specifically when you end up with drafts that show you a rare or a powerful card that may be worth weaving into your current archetype, and just figuring out those pieces to the puzzle on how you can put the best cards in your deck without hurting your overall consistency. And then one last thing to talk about is Fear of Abduction. This card is really good at supplementing when you don't have great bombs. But when you do have great bombs, it's just another great board piece to end on. Because there's a lot of situations where, this comes in, it removes their guy. And like one time we removed our Nico, we already got the shard tokens, and now we have insurance. Because we don't really care that much about Nico, since they already gave us a double Eerie trigger, and we're still netting the tokens. So if they kill this, we just get more tokens, and this is an enchantment, so it triggers Eerie once again. I've also just heard a lot of good things about this in some of the Reanimator decks, because being able to bypass that cost of an additional creature on your field being exiled sometimes can prove to be very beneficial, specifically because the 5/5 stat line is really awkward to answer in some decks. And then as well, we actually had more of a Manifest Dread sub-theme than I would have thought, and it was actually more beneficial than it typically ends up being whenever I've done it in the past, because if you have Fear of Abduction and you select like Trapped in the Screen, and you're able to banish that with Fear of Abduction, adding that back to your hand is a huge plus, and it's something that you normally would not be able to do if you didn't have this card, because it feels really bad when you're manifesting Dread and losing one of your powerful pieces of interaction because you didn't hit a creature. So that's just something to keep in mind, because a lot of cards in this format have one clear direction they're pointing, but also have a few micro interactions with other cards you just wouldn't think about until you played with them. So keep your mind open in this format and be aware of all the little micro interactions between your cards so that you can get the most value out of your most powerful cards that are pushing you in a certain direction. But man, this was a fun one, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you want to see more awesome Duskmourn content on the channel, make sure to smash the like button, turn post notifications on, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another banger. And as always, if it's not the goo, it's got to go. Peace.
Ooh, is that indigo?